New York, stand up. All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Leel Show. It's going down, just so you know. Say it ain't so. We are back for another one, and it's time to have some fun. Cause I'm your boy, the Real Lil. And it's going down because tonight is game 2 of the NBA finals. Okay. It's going down. It might be a funeral or it might be a bounce back. We'll see. We'll find out. Because right now we figure out who is really made out of that stuff, who is made from a cloth. Okay. And on God, we're going to give you a nice show. Because when I tell you we got to stack one, we got to stack one. I got my guy Lee in the building. And before I introduce him, I'm going to talk to you about what we got on the menu today. Obviously, we're going to talk about the finals. Knicks still game 1. We're going to talk about a little bit about that game and look forward to tonight and what's going to happen. What we predict is going to happen tonight. We're going to release it to the people, and we're going to talk about some of the big trades in the NFL that went down this week. Listen, man, I let all the shows and podcasts do their thing. Now, I mean, yeah, go ahead, talk. You know, I make this money and all that. But guess what? Now it's my mic. All right, give me the mic and let me talk about what's going down, okay? Because guess what? You ain't heard it first if you ain't hear it from the Real Lil and Lee. So I got my guy Lee here. I'm ready. I'm amped up. This is the NBA Finals. I'm a New York Knickerbocker, okay? Lee, how you feeling, man?
I'm good, man. Good. Great game the other night, man. This should be a great one tonight. A lot of things going on in sports, man. Everything's starting to interconnect, intertwine. Got the NFL, OTAs and stuff going on, trades galore. Lot going on, Leel. And what better way to talk than talk on the Real Leel Show? And let's talk about it.
And we might as well talk about it. Make sure y'all like and subscribe to the channel once more because we got some new content coming your way. We are pushing these shows out like a mother pushing out babies, okay? It's going down. Now, the question that we're going to start off with is our biggest takeaways from game 1, all right? Which is the NBA Finals. Who is the biggest X factor for the Knicks going forward as well? But let's start off with our recap of the game. Lee, the mic is yours.
Yeah, man, it was a good game. It was a good game, back and forth. The Spurs, they're young, Leo, and they don't know when to throttle down and how to run offense to score to stop a run. They went up 14. They was cruising, and then they set Wemby out, and then they just fell apart. They was just jacking up shots. The Knicks got their rhythm, and then you turn it over to the Brunson burner at the end of the game, and he does what he do. And so the game for me was entertaining first and foremost. Brunson almost getting injured twice. Cat locking up Wemby, right? And then the really ineptitude play of De'Aaron Fox. I mean, he was missing shots my son could make at the basket. So, those things is what I take from it. The Spurs and Wemby. Wemby has to understand one thing, Leo. You exert so much energy out there dribbling the basketball outside of the three-point line, trying to cross people over and drive all the way to the basket. You exert so much energy, and then you have to play on defense that it wore him down. Wemby, you're 7'5". I'm not saying Wemby has to get the ball, Lil, and back a player down. But certainly at 7'5", you don't have a turnaround jumper. You don't have an over-the-shoulder jumper in the paint. There's no way that Karl Anthony Towns should be guarding, locking up Wemby if Wemby uses his greatest strength, which is his 7'5" height and 9-foot wingspan. He doesn't use it. It allows Cat to D him up. Terrible shooting night for Wemby. And it's just not the formula for victory for the San Antonio Spurs. So I like to see Dylan Harper more. The coach made a critical mistake and not paying Dylan Harper in the second half. And now the Spurs have their back up against the wall. Let's see what they can do. And look, the X factor for me for the Knicks is always going to be Brunson. But it's also Mike Brown's coaching, because Brown is out coaching the San Antonio coach right now. And it shows. And if he keeps it up, it might be an early exit for the Spurs.
Look, man, I would say this. My biggest takeaway is that we are continuing to prove that it's our year because when you go through the motions, right, it was a horrible game. Brunson hurt himself a couple times in the game, had a horrible first half, but then guess what? The fourth quarter, as we see here, he's making shots that's unguardable. I mean, that was perfect defense. How do you stop that? Right? That's Captain Clutch right there. Look at the footwork. I mean, he has the best footwork in the game. You know how he knows how to create his angles, and he just knows how to score and take over the
That was
game.
a beautiful shot and move right there, Leo. That was beautiful.
Literally. I
Yeah.
mean, how do you stop that? But this is the problem I have, and I'm gonna go a little bit rogue here before I come back because I want to say what's on my mind, right? Obviously, we want to talk about the game, and I got a lot of thoughts about the game. It was a very good game, even though you can make the case that both teams played horrible. Still was a close, competitive game.
It was very competitive. It's
Yes,
it was very
it was
competitive.
competitive,
Absolutely.
more so than actually good.
Yeah.
But I would say this: we put all this emphasis and market when it comes to players with different physical attributes, right? What we deem to be the best elite physical traits. Obviously, Wemby 7'5" could obviously impact the paint on every single possession. Obviously, has his skills where he can knock down shots from behind the arc. Also, when used, he can have a post-up game as well, where he could punish smaller defenders. And we put that to a high standard. But my question is it physical attributes that only matter? Because what Jalen Brunson is doing, what he is doing in the fourth quarter specifically, needs to be talked about more. And that's why a lot of people everything is going over their heads. They waiting for the Knicks to crash because they don't realize that success comes in all shapes and forms. Tom Brady is the GOAT in the National Football League. Could he throw the football the furthest? No. But he had the elite traits and he was Captain Clutch. Those little nuances matter on stage like this because you can have all the physical attributes. That don't mean that you're ready for the moment. That doesn't mean that you're ready to take over the game in the fourth quarter when your teammates need you to do so. So I just want to throw that nugget out there. But as we come back,
well said.
As we come back to the game right now, I mean, look, we played horrible and we still found a way to win. Why? Because we are made from that cloth. That's why I said in the intro, we're going to find out who's made from that cloth, and we're going to find out a lot more about the Spurs tonight because we came out, we was horrible. OG and Josh Hart combined for 12 points. Jalen Brunson was hurt a couple times. He struggled with his shot throughout the whole entire first half. OG Anunoby looked like he was playing in quicksand in the first half. But then guess what? In the fourth quarter, OG knocked down a couple timely three-point shots, cold-butted. Jalen Brunson made some circus shots, and he did what he did. And we found a way to win the basketball game. And
let me ask you a question. And I agree with you. Do you think that in that third quarter, when San Antonio was up 14 points, and the Knicks came storming back before the end of that quarter, to me, that whole stretch was the defining moment in that game. And that's where I saw Mike Brown and the Knicks whoop both the Spurs team and whoop the coach from San Antonio and out-coached him. What are your thoughts about that run? Because the Knicks weren't playing well. And is that a defining mark for you in the game of where you saw this table turn for the Knicks?
Yeah,
to give them an opportunity to win the game.
It was because prior to that point, Josh Hart was in foul trouble too. So he had about 3 fouls. He was in foul trouble, right? Now, you look at the adjustments that were made. Firstly, give Karl Anthony Towns credit because he kept this in the game. He was the MVP of that game. He attacked the Spurs off the bounce. He attacked Wemby a couple times. He was able to see contact. He played like a true big man. Okay. And I know we questioned him. Charles Barkley came out and said that he's not good at basketball. That's like telling me that I'm not good at podcasting. Those are horrible remarks right there. Okay. And Cat was the best player on the floor in game one on both sides. His defense was impeccable as well. The fact that he's guarding Wemby at times in the game and he wasn't in foul trouble. Yeah, you could say, yeah, sure, maybe you want to haunt Cat more, but Cat defense has improved, and that has been the case these playoffs. So we got to give him a lot of credit. But as far as the adjustments that Mike Brown made, he went to a smaller lineup. He had Shamet out there. He had Brunson out there. He had McBride out there. And Towns out there, that was a lineup that he didn't even experiment with all season. And he was able to do so and have the risk to do so because guess what? He's flexible. This is why he's the coach. This is why we fired Tom Thibodeau. We didn't fire Tom Thibodeau because he deserved to get fired. We fired Tom Thibodeau because we wanted more. We wanted more flexibility. We wanted a collaborator. And that's exactly what Mike Brown is. And he made that adjustment going smaller that gave us more spacing. And we was able to, Jalen was able to find his shot in the second half. And our guys was able to play better. So again, it's those tactical adjustments that allowed us to come back and not only come back, but win this game.
Yeah. For me, if I'm the coach of the San Antonio Spurs and I'm up 14 with the ball, by the way, they were up 14 with the ball, ability to go up 16. I don't care if I have to use 2 back-to-back timeouts, Leel. I'm stopping that run. You understand what I'm saying? They allowed the Knicks to get in a free flow, Shamet running around shooting threes. Oh, they allowed the Knicks to continue through that run. And a great coach, a coach that's in the NBA Finals, has to understand you call timeout, you make adjustments to their lineup to match up with them because they were running free and shooting open threes. That's how they got back in the game, and he allowed that. That, to me, the Johnson guy has to do a better job on the sideline. And then not playing Dylan Harper was criminal down the stretch. That's criminal. You should be lying. That's criminal. So a lot to be desired for the entire Spurs effort, and we'll see what they have. I know one thing. If De'Aaron Fox De'Aaron Fox in Game 7 played big, had a very good game for the Spurs. But if he's struggling in the first quarter, I put his butt on the bench, and you'll see Dylan Harper get more minutes for the rest of the game.
De'Aaron Fox was trash in Game 1. With all due respect to De'Aaron Fox, and we'll talk about that in some of the adjustments that the Spurs can make in Game 2. But I would like to say this about Josh Hart. To me, he's an X factor. I know you say it's Mike Brown, and obviously, there are a lot of critical pieces here, right? But if we had to limit it to one, right, one X factor, and come up with reasons why they are, because you can make a case Cat, you can make a case Mike Brown. But I think Mike Brown has shown that he's willing to make adjustments. He's been doing so all playoffs long. So I'm not even, to me, that's a given, right? Karl Anthony Towns, what he's been doing lately is a given. I'm not expecting him to revert back to the old Cat because he would have done so already. It's a given. It's Josh Hart to me, because for me, the hustle plays matter in these moments. The hustle plays. I understand it's cliche. I understand it sounds a little bit black and white, but it's the hustle plays that give you second chance opportunities. It's the hustle plays that get you in a rhythm. It's the hustle plays that keep you on the floor. And Josh Hart didn't even take a shot in the second half, yet he was still able to impact the game significantly. He was the second most impactful player in Game 1 without even scoring the basketball. Yep. So the Spurs are going to give him opportunities to knock down wide open shots. They're going to disrespect him. But the question is, can Hart make them pay? Yeah, we'll take the rebounds. Gave us 15 big rebounds, crucial rebounds, right? He gave us some steals, some blocks. I'm confident that he's going to be able to get us that stat line pretty much every single game. Maybe not 15 rebounds, but you know what I mean. But can he knock down shots? Because Cleveland did that too. They allowed him in, I think it was Game 2 or 3. They gave him mad open shots. He missed a couple. Then in the second half, he knocked down 5, 6 of those joints, and he became the best player in that series, in that game, rather. So Josh Hart, to me, is always going to be the factor because they're going to plant Wemby they're going to park him in the lane. They're going to park him in the paint area. So if he's knocking down shots, then Wemby obviously can't stay there. So to me, he's going to be impactful because remember, when we were down by 14 or whatever it was Josh Hart who was in foul trouble too. He had 3 fouls prior to that. So yeah, to me, the X factor is Josh Hart. Now, Lee,
I mean, he's a glue guy. He's a hustle guy, yeah. Glue guy.
Now, let's talk about Game 2, right? Because obviously that's tonight.
Yeah.
Do we expect the Spurs to bounce back and win Game 2? Lee, the mic is yours.
I do. I think they will. If they don't, the series is over. But I expect them to win Game 2. Look, Wemby will be a little more, and I don't know why he doesn't do this consistently, but he'll be a little bit more around the basket you'll see tonight, as opposed to out on the court trying to be a point center. You don't need that from him. And so I think there'll be a concerted effort. And I think they'll play Dylan Harper more. Harper is a mismatch. He's quick, he's physical. He's got the left hand looking like Manu Ginobili out there, posting up, being physical. You need more of that. The Kelvin Johnson guy, you can't expect him, 6th man of the year, to be have a disappearing act again tonight, Leo. So I just think the Spurs will play harder. They'll win game 2. My deal is this. In the summertime, I want Wemby to spend some time with Kevin Durant. When Kevin Durant posts you up on the elbow, Leo, all he does is take 2 dribbles, fade away, and shoot over either shoulder. Why can't Wemby do that at 7'5"? He's a skilled big guy. If he did that, he would be dominant. The Spurs will never win big with Wemby playing out on the court the way he does. Because, Leo, he's not a knockdown drag shooter. He can hit him, but he's not a knockdown shooter, and he stays on the perimeter too much. So tonight, if the coaching matters, if Miss Johnson has him in the post more, I think you'll see a better effort from San Antonio. And then, look, you got to quit turning the ball over if you're San Antonio. You turn the ball over. Wemby dribbled one off his foot. I mean, it's just as far as taking care of the basketball, that hurts them. I look for them to take care of the basketball a little better tonight. And I do think, the Knicks are playing with the house money. They can play open and free tonight, Leo.
Yeah.
But I think the urgency from the Spurs will get them the game tonight, and I look for the Spurs to win.
My thing here is De'Aaron Fox came out on Thursday, and he spoke to reporters, and he basically laid out the game plan for the Knicks unequivocally, right? He said that we are going to force the ball out of Jalen Brunson's hands. All right, cool, right? Sure. Cleveland tried that in game 2. Similar situation. Game 1, Cleveland, the Knicks came out sloggy. They obviously took 3 quarters to really find their rhythm. They were down by 22 with 7 minutes left to go in the game. Brunson went on this hell of a run in the 4th quarter, ended up with 38 points. And Cleveland said the same thing. We are going to force the ball out of Jalen Brunson's hands in game 2. Guess what? The rest of the guys brought us home. Guess what? Old Anunoby was knocking down shots. Mikal Bridges was knocking down shots. Shamet, damn it, was knocking out shots, okay? I call him Laundry Matt Shamet, damn it, okay? He was knocking down shots. All right, and how much assists Brunson had in that game? 14 assists. He answered the bell. So, okay, yeah, sure. You want Brunson to not beat you, right? Cool. Force the ball out of his hands. He knows how to make the play. He doesn't get credit for being a playmaker. He has been being a playmaker this entire playoffs. We just look at him as somebody that could dribble, and obviously get to his sweet spot with his elite footwork and create those angles and score the basketball. But he has shown us that he has more tools in his back. He's willing to make the pass to the open teammates. And we have more than capable knockdown shooters that can knock down shots. So to be honest with you, I don't see a world where the Spurs win this series. And it's not the delusion in me. Okay, it's not. I woke. I had a 9 hours, 8 hours sleep last night. Okay, my brain is fully functioned. All right, it's not delusion over here. I believe we are the better team. I believe no matter how you try to slice it and dice it, we just the better team. Now, sure, the Spurs can make adjustments on their end to try to, win this game tonight, which they're at home. Right? They should come out with a level of energy. Obviously, it's a must-win game. I think they need to get rid of, not get rid of, but bench De'Aaron Fox for Dylan Harper. Fox was 1 for 10. All right, he was 1 for 10 last night from the 3-point line. And obviously, we know that most of his stuff is going to be at the rim. He has that motor, but that motor with that injury hasn't been there. He doesn't have the same explosion. So now, Dylan Harper, you saw his energy. He was one of the reasons why they went on that run. Him and Julian Champagny was knocking down, a couple threes. So to me, I get it. Fox started the whole year and whatnot, but Dylan Harper got to see the action. You got to ride the hot hand. And if you want to make another adjustment, maybe attack Jalen Brunson more. Maybe harm him a little bit more, involve him in a little bit more actions, try to get him in foul trouble. That's the only way you're going to be able to stop Brunson in this Knicks team. is by trying to stop the head of the snake. But it's not only about, sending all this attention and trying to double up on him, because guess what? He can make the extra pass. We are a very resourceful team, but it's about trying to eliminate him from the game, period. And how you do that from the offensive end, trying to involve him in more actions to get him in foul trouble.
Leel, you think, and look against Cleveland, Josh Hart was out of his mind shooting threes that closeout game. That's not who Josh Hart is, though. He's not a knockdown 3-point shooter. So
that's why he's the X factor for me. That's why, because
we're going to see. We're going to see, because they are going to take the ball out of Brunson's hands.
Yep.
They're going to force the other guys to do it. Mikal Bridges didn't actually shoot the ball well either. And so we're going to see, but I expect a much better defensive effort tonight by the Spurs, and we'll see just how bad. It's the defining game, as everybody wanted, to use a Denny Green reference. If you want to crown his ass, then crown him. Everybody wanted to crown Wemby, the greatest on planet Earth. He has unbelievable traits and skills. But Leel, these are the games. These are the games when you have to be the best player on the court. And if you that man, then you got to be the man tonight. It ain't about anybody else for the Spurs but Wemby. Let's not even sugarcoat this. You can say whatever you want to say, but he has to be the dominant factor that he was in for 4 games against the Thunder tonight, Leel. That's what he has to be. And we're going to see. This is what this is about.
This is the Wemby game. This is supposed to be the Wemby game right here.
This is the game. This is the Wemby game that's the tone setter for the series, right? Because if he plays like he played in game 1, you might get swept or you might get a gentleman's sweep. But if you come out and show you are who you say you are, then this series can extend, and it could be anybody's series, 6-7, as the kids say. It could be anybody's series after that. Because Brunson showed he the man. He showed it all year, and he backed it up once again. Now, Wemby, it's your time to put your stamp on this next game. It's your time to show that you're the man. We're going to see. And Leel, my last thing about Wemby, why did they rest him so much? I mean, maybe he's 7'5" and it's just too much air up there, Leel, because we don't know shit. Maybe it's just too much air up there and you just get tired. But it's a 14-point lead. They're making a push and run. I don't give a shit what the score is. Women get back in the game to stop that run. You understand what I'm saying, Leel? These are the things that puzzle me when I think about San Antonio. And so, but I do expect them. This is the Wemby game. I expect them to win tonight. And if not, it'll be because Wemby didn't bring them home.
Hey, it's Wimbledon. Nah, I mean, this is the Wemby game. I agree, but guess what? The Knicks are going to win this game.
Yeah.
The Knicks are winning tonight. Listen, Lee, winning starts from the mental. Winning is a mentality. And the Knicks have shown that they are business as usual. When they won the Eastern Conference Finals, they didn't celebrate. They ain't pop no champagne. It was on to the next. Jalen Brunson is not doing no commercials for the finals, nothing. It's all about winning. And we shown that in the Atlanta series, especially in the Philly series, and in the Cleveland series, with similar situations, up 1-0, that, we got to go for the gusto. And we won 7 straight world games for a reason, by double digits. All right, this is not no fluke. We got to stop it. Stop it, bruh. Stop it, people.
I don't think it's a fluke at all.
The East, people think it's a fluke because they're like, the Eastern Conference was weak and Cleveland is there no shot. And no, these were good basketball teams.
You trounced teams, so I give the Knicks all the credit in the world.
And they were saying, the Thunder and the Spurs, that's the championship right there. No, it's not. It's not.
Leel, I'm gonna say
we are going to win this game tonight, Lee. Mark my words.
If you win the game tonight, then everything that you're saying is true. And I'm going to come on our next show and I'm going to tip my hat to you. But let me say this. The Spurs lost game 1 at home to Minnesota.
Yep.
And beat them in 6, okay? Mm-hmm. This game will tell us a lot about how this series is going to go.
Yep.
Even if the Knicks lose a close game, Leo, where the Spurs pulled it off in the last 32nd minute of the game, I still would take the Knicks. The Spurs have to come out and show a dominance tonight to let everybody know that this is going to be a long series and they can win. And so I'll be interested to see, again, how Wemby comes out, how the team's energy is, and how that so-called deep bench of the Spurs play. That's what I'm looking forward to tonight.
We'll see if they bounce back, because they bounced back against OKC. Every time OKC won a game, they won one until they won two straight to win the series. Tonight's going to be Wimbledon, okay? And we're going to see if he's able to take over the game and get his team back in the series. Anyway, we're going to move on to topic number 3, and we're going to move on to the NFL here, because we had a massive, massive trade that went down in the NFL a couple of days ago. And I let everybody talk. I let everybody do their thing. Well, I make my money at work and everything. But now it's time for me to give my opinion. It's time for Lee to give his opinion. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. So the question we have right now is, did the Browns get enough of Myles Garrett in that blockbuster deal? And yeah, we'll talk about things from the Browns' perspective later on. Lee, the mic is yours.
Yeah. I think last year they would have gotten even more. I think that last year, if they had traded Myles Garrett, they'd have got 2 ones for him if they'd have done it last year. But I do think they got enough. They got 3 picks, a first, second, and a third. In 3 consecutive years, a pick, but also getting Mr. Verse is key, because Leo, if you look at when Verse came into the league, since he's been in the league, I think it's 3 years, and Myles Garrett, the total number of sacks, Myles Garrett has 3 more sacks than he does during the same time frame. Okay. Verse is a star in the league, and by them getting him, right, an all-pro caliber pass rusher, I think that tipped the scale as to say they did get enough, because you can pencil in Verse. He might not be Myles Garrett, the finished product right now, but he's certainly an all-pro caliber player. So it's important that even over a draft pick, you get a player like that and you can pencil them in to that defensive slot that Myles Garrett had. That was huge for the Browns. So I like what the Browns did. Look, Garrett's an all-time player, and I love him, but they weren't winning, Leo. They weren't winning. So if you're not winning, at least get some capital to continue to build out a roster, of which the Browns have a lot of young talent on that roster. It's now just finding out if Shador really is your quarterback. You know what I'm saying? And so I love what they got in return. Last year they got a little bit more, but I love what they got, because Verse tips it over the top for me. And the Rams on paper look like Super Bowl champions.
I mean, look, and salute to Hawks ATL 678. First of all, for giving my Knicks love, number 1. And for dropping the comments. But I mean, it's tough. It's tough. Listen, it's always going to be hard to get equal value for a player like Myles Garrett. It's almost impossible, because of how good of a player he is. He's the best defensive player in football, period. And I do think right now was the best time to trade a guy like Myles Garrett if you're the Browns, because you're in no man's land. You're not competing. He obviously led the league in sacks. He broke the record. What was it, 18.5 sacks or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time you trade him. Not last year, right now. Perfect timing. You trade him, and you get as much as you can. Could they have gotten more? It's subjective. The Rams are desperate. They made back-to-back NFC Championship games and lost. You can go as far as you can as far as taking advantage of that desperation. But I thought overall it was a good package for them. I think, I understand, like the Hawks ATL said, that, yeah, sure, you may want to get more than one first-round pick, but Jared Verse, to me, is a first-round pick.
He's a first-rounder, absolutely.
To me, so I'm looking at that as 2 first-rounders. That's how I'm looking at that. And then you get another pick as well. Yeah, I think they did fair enough with the compensation. And look, I would say this about the previous trades, right? You look at Jalen Ramsey, 2019. I believe it was two firsts that he was traded for. Micah Parsons, again, that was two firsts as well, and Kenny Clark. But if you look at that Michael Parsons trade when he went for two firsts and Kenny Clark, Jared Verse is a better player. You know what I'm saying? So again, I'm looking at Jared Verse as a first rounder. He already made two Pro Bowls. He's younger than Myles Garrett. He can stop the run game as well. You see, Garrett is always going to go for the kill shot. He's always going to go to attack the quarterback and sack the quarterback. Jared Verse will give you a little bit more flexibility as far as being able to stop the running game. And look, the Browns, they know what they need to do. They know that they need to find who that quarterback is, whether it's somebody already on the roster or not. They have to build around that quarterback, whether they got to go and find a quarterback. They know what they need to do. And the Rams, once again, they are using that F the picks mentality. And I just don't believe that you can get a package better than them, because the Rams have proved that they're willing to go above and beyond to go all in. So if the Rams made the trade, it's the best package.
Yeah.
Based off of their history. Yeah. Based off of that F the picks mentality. There's no package that would have been better than the Rams package. Back-to-back NFC Championship losses. They know they need it. They know Seattle's a step above. They know they've been lurking around when it came to championship contention. They know their quarterback has 2 more years. You cannot have gotten a better package than the Rams.
Yeah, it's win now. Win now. The Rams don't care about them picks. They don't care. Look, the one thing you have to give the Rams credit for, Leel, is they've drafted very, very well towards the back end of the draft. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th players. They have players on their roster that they were drafted in the 3rd round and beyond, and free agents that are playing significant roles. So you have to tip their hat to their scouting department, their player personnel, the development of their players. So they've done well. So they don't value those picks as much as other people. So by them being willing to do that, yeah. And then from the Brown side, look, man, the Browns have 2 first-round picks again next year, Leel, and they got Verse. So shit, that's gold. And you got now two twos next year, the following year, 2, 3. Man, they can get quality football players and continue to build out a young roster that's very, very talented. And that's the thing. So people want to see 2 firsts on paper. Verse is a first.
Literally
12 and a half sacks last year. So they got a lot, and it was a tremendous haul for them. Browns are on their way. They just really have to quit fooling around with Deshaun Watson and let Shedeur Sanders be the quarterback.
I agree. I mean, look, I was a Deshaun Watson fan, but my guy's too busy getting massages, bro. I mean, it is what it is. He sold his soul to the massage. You know, and it is what it is, man. And obviously,
nothing wrong with a good massage, Leel. Nothing wrong with a good massage. Okay?
I mean, nothing's wrong with it, but you know, you gotta, stop trying to play with the coochie snacks. You know, you just gotta listen, man. You did to do a job, bro. You're getting paid $250 million guaranteed. That was a contract, I believe, $43 million a year. This season he's gonna make. Gotta play football, man. So yeah, I think they should move on from him, but obviously they're not, because he's making all that money. He will start week 1, barring any injury.
I think a lot of reports that have come out of Cleveland now, and Shedeur is making a huge push to get that job. But I agree with you, Leel. They're still going to start Deshaun Watson because it's easier to go from Deshaun Watson to Shedeur Sanders. And it's much harder to go Shedeur Sanders to Deshaun Watson because you tie yourself into having to sign him possibly next year. So you want to start Deshaun Watson. If he comes out and plays well, hell, that's a great thing. If he doesn't, you can pull the quick hook and go to Shedeur. So that's what they're going to do, regardless of how it looks in training camp. But look, I think both of it's a good trade for both teams.
I agree.
Because the Rams defense had to do something to be on par with Seattle, and now they have, at least on paper. And I got other opinions about the Rams as far as overall, but on paper.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Are the Rams the Super Bowl favorite with the latest move? Leader Mike is yours.
On paper they are. On paper they are. They got the reigning defensive player of the year, and they got the reigning league MVP. So on paper, they went out and got a cornerback, McDuffie. They filled some holes. But let me say this, Leel. Seattle's defense was good at every level. It was all pro, front four linebackers. Now, they did lose some players in the secondary, but Seattle's defense, I still would say, is better, even with Myles Garrett. I'm talking about the 11-man squad is still better than the Rams with Myles Garrett. So it all comes down to, for me, how potent Matthew Stafford's going to be. Another year old. He's throwing the football. You know, he's injury prone. And so we'll see. But did the Rams raise the level to come up a little higher on Seattle? Absolutely, by getting Myles Garrett. But I'm not ready to say that they're going to win the Super Bowl. On paper, they look good. But there's a lot of people that will have to say to that, you know, and Seattle's won, Chicago's won, Dallas has won, you know. Even the Eagles. I still think the Eagles are going to bounce back. So there's a lot of teams, Detroit, there's a lot of teams that are going to have to say so. But on paper, the Rams, you could, if you're penciling them in right now, we haven't played a game or had any old training camp, yeah, you put the Rams up there. But there are a lot of other things that we're going to have to see. But please quit disrespecting the Seattle Seahawks and Mike McDonough, who I think is one of the best coaches in pro football.
Look, on paper, the Rams are definitely in the driver's seat right now. Are they the favorite or not? You know, I like the Broncos. You know, I like the Packers. Once they get healthy, they got a game changer as well. You know, so don't disregard the Packers. They're right up there. I can't call them the favorite, the exact favorite, because yeah, they made a trade, but guess what? They went back to back and lost. Could they get over that hump again? You know, can Matthew Stafford get back to the Super Bowl? We'll find out. I'm not going to call them the favorite, but they definitely have as good a shot as anybody do to come out at the same in the same token. Yeah. Now, when you look at, listen, the best teams win championships. Period. All right, football is the most team-reliant sport.
Yep.
The best teams win championships. Now, the NFL is becoming like the NBA a little bit with the super team nonsense, right? And I'm not really a fan of it, but then again, you know, you do what you got to do to win. I'm not really a fan from a competitive standpoint, but it is where it is. Obviously, Tom Brady went to Tampa. They built a super team over there. Obviously, I was a Tom Brady fan. Greatest quarterback of all time. I wasn't mad at it, but I can understand somebody that was on the outskirts looking inside like, you know, what are we doing here? They won a championship. The Rams did the same thing. The following year, traded for Stafford, traded for Von Miller, won a championship right away. The Eagles had the best football team, right? They traded for A.J. Brown, best football team, best offensive line, best running back, one of the best wide receivers in the league, won a championship. The best teams win football games, and not only football games, but championships. So look, let's not forget the 2007 Patriots that traded for Randy Moss. They made a big blockbuster on this type of level. Guess what? They went undefeated until they lost in the championship. Like, you look at the last couple years, Lee, the most franchises that have won recently, 5 teams in particular, have won at least 4 championships.
Yeah.
So there's 5 Super Bowl teams over the last decade that have won 4 championships or got to 4 championships. New England, Kansas City has represented, what was it? The conference in the last 10 Super Bowls, and 9 of the last 10. 9 of the last 10, to be correct. Right? Which means that it comes down to team building. It comes down to teams having that experience. You look at the GMs across the league. There's only 5 GMs really that's putting in work, that's gambling, that's willing to go for it. Les Snead with the Rams, Howie Roseman with the Eagles. You could argue Jason Light with the Tom Brady era. Snyder with the Seahawks. They won the championship last year. They went all in. Brett Veach with the Chiefs. Know what I mean? And guess what? Those teams won championships. So you have to go all in if you want to win a championship. And with the super team era, the Rams are doing it again. And so based off of what we see in history in the last couple of years, you can make the argument they should be the favorite. But I do believe that there's football to be played, and I do believe that there's a lot of good teams in the NFC. let alone the AFC as well.
Yeah, no, the NFL is always it's about talent acquisition, right? That's what it's always been. Reggie White went to the Packers. Deion Sanders went to San Francisco. Dan went to Dallas. It's about talent acquisition, and superstar players. They don't change teams. Not superstars. They're good players or so-called stars, but they don't change teams at certainly the rate of the NBA. But it's always been like that. People go out and get a star to come over to their team. But it's the NFL at its core will always be about talent acquisition, right? And whether it's through drafting well or going into free agency. But Leo, we have to be honest about this. A third of the league, 2/3 of the league ain't really trying to win, to be honest with you. It's only like a third of the league, right? 10 to 12 teams that really, really go for it and try to win, right? And that is what it is. It's about,
look at the Eagles. I mean, excuse me, not the Eagles. The Steelers on cruise control.
Yeah, there
Mediocrity.
you go. They're not. There are teams that I don't like calling them out because you call it, but you know who they are. You know who they are, and they're happy with making that money that
they wear black and yellow. They wear black and yellow. That's one of the teams. They wear black and yellow. I'm sick of their process and how they operate. Now, I mean, like it's all about winning seasons, never about really competing for a championship.
You see that with Pittsburgh because they never really spend a lot of money on the offensive side of the ball. They always sign their defensive players. They have a identity, but the Rams, they go for it. And this is a great move by the Rams. Let's not sugarcoat it. Great move by the Rams. They already had a nice defensive front. You bring Myles Garrett.
Michelle.
He's a dominant X factor player, and so that's a great move. But Leel, you still have to play them games on the field, and the NFL is such that you got to prove it every Sunday, and you have to prove it on a large scale. I got somebody saying go Raiders. Look, I expect the Raiders to be much improved. They did a good job in free agency. Let's see what Mendoza is and when they get him in there. But the Raiders will be much improved because they went out and they bought some players that they want to make their team a lot better. So the Raiders will be much improved. I like Bowers. I like the tight end. So they'll be much improved. Absolutely.
So Michelle, I'm gonna hit you up on the DM because we gotta do a show. Possibly I'm gonna hit you up. We definitely gotta do a show. So much things going on in the world right now. I gotta get on with you. I'm gonna look out for my call. But Lee, before we move on, I want to bring this last question up to you. The Cowboys, do you think they should have jumped in here? Like, are you upset as a Cowboys fan?
Disappointed. I was disappointed. I was very, very disappointed because what they got for Myles Garrett, Dallas could have gave that up. And Myles Garrett is 29, I think 29 or 30 years old. He has 5-6 more years left in him. And so I was very disappointed that the Cowboys didn't. But in saying that, I like a lot what the Cowboys did this offseason and the players that they bought in. It's just Myles Garrett is a generational player. Dallas should have been in that. And I was surprised. And maybe they did make a call, but maybe the price was too steep. And but I was surprised that Dallas and Jerry Jones didn't get in that bidding because Myles Garrett is a Texas boy. So yeah, it kind of shocked me.
I mean, there's no price too deep and steep for a guy like Myles Garrett, if you ask me.
I agree.
But anyway, we are going to move on to the final topic of today's show. And speaking of trades, the Eagles traded A.J. Brown, and it went under the radar because we expected it. We knew it was coming. You didn't have to be Nostradamus or Lil Shadamus to know that was going to be a thing. We all was expecting it to happen on June 1, and guess what? It happened on June 1. Now, Lee, the question that I have for you is, did the Eagles trade away the division along with A.J. Brown?
Oh, I think they did. I think they did. I think identity-wise, and I do think Devontae Smith is a great receiver, and I think he could step into the number one role. But then what does the rest of the receiving group look like? You could say Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown hadn't done anything in the NFL since his first year with the Baltimore. He ain't done anything. He gets hurt all the time. Wicks is take him or leave him. Not a great addition. Mekhi Lemon, what do you expect? Kind of ran a little slower than I thought. So yeah, I think they don't have two dominant X factors on the outside anymore, Leo. That's going to be a problem. That's going to put more pressure on Jalen Hurts. And we'll see what happens because Philly fans have already turned on Jalen Hurts. You know that, right? They're just waiting for him to play poorly enough so they can boo him out of Philly. They've already done it, right? He has held them off already, right? Because he's played last year, didn't play so well. This is a career-defining year for Jalen Hurts. Whether he believes it or not, or anybody believe it, it is. That didn't, and I said it on your show a couple of weeks, it didn't help him for them to trade A.J. Brown, Leo. That didn't help. And so I think Dallas is in prime position to take over NFC East. I love it. Washington will be better because Daniels is coming back. I think they did some good improvements on their defense. The Giants will be better. You know, what Jackson Dark's going to do in his sophomore season, we'll see. But the Eagles, yeah, I think the Eagles took a step back down. I really do.
Look, firstly, before I answer the question, the Patriots got fleeced. The Eagles got prime years of A.J. Brown. Over 5,000 yards in his tenure with the Eagles. They won a Super Bowl with A.J. Brown. And his production has dipped the last 2 years. And yet they were able to stack up wide receiver depth and trade A.J. Brown and get a first. I understand the first is in 2028. Guess what? Football will still be played unless
Leo,
AI take over and take over the football as well.
Did A.J. Brown play dip, or was it because he didn't have a big-time quarterback throwing him the football down the field?
We could find that. We could find that out. We're going to find that out. But the reality is, if you look at the paper, his production dipped. And sure, forget paper, eye test. He was dropping balls last year.
That 1,000-yard season every year he was there.
Yeah, but he had a lot of drops last year. That was uncharacteristic.
Years old, though,
maybe his head wasn't in the game, but he dropped balls. He wanted the ball. That's what he said. I want the ball. He got the ball. He had a lot of drops last year.
He gives the Patriots a stud receiver on that.
I get it. I'm just talking about it from a value perspective. From the Eagles getting what they got for him. A first-round pick for a wide receiver that's getting older. Right? Now, I do like the move from the Patriots as well. But you look at the Eagles, you look at this wide receiver market, obviously A.J. Brown is probably going to win another contract. You got Christian Watson out here making $110 million. You got Drake London out here making $141 million. The Eagles get to reset the wide receiver market. They got Mekhi Lemon, who knows how good he is, but they got the rookie years of him. So they got good value, and they traded away a player. It's like I hate to use this analogy, but it's like you getting a girl that looks like Rihanna, and you use all her prime years and set her off to somebody else. Know what I mean? It's like using a car and you driving the new car and you got 100 grand miles on the car, and then you get the car off and you get that joint for cheaper.
Look.
That's a good deal.
It's a good deal. They got a first-round draft pick, but remember, who represented the AFC in the Super Bowl last year?
The Patriots.
All right, then.
What,
so you're talking about. I'm
not saying the Patriots don't got value. I'm not saying that A.J. Brown is not going to impact the Patriots. Of course he is. But I'm just saying that the Eagles want to trade as far as value because there was no other team that was entering that. It was always listen, we knew this trade was going to happen 3-4 months ago. Right. And the Eagles yet still was able to get proper value for him.
Well, I mean, Leo, we just talked about the Rams and them not caring about giving up first-round draft picks. And obviously the Patriots didn't either. They gave it up not in the next year's draft, but the following draft. So they're building for the now. And look, Eagles getting a first-round draft pick for A.J. Brown. I think that's good value for the Eagles. But Lil, for what the Patriots needed, they got exactly what they needed for Drake May. So as far as value for the team right now, and what with a young quarterback who needs a number one alpha dog receiver, shit, I would have done it as well.
The point is going over your head, buddy.
No, it's not.
I agree with you. You know what I mean? But the Eagles won the trade. I agree with you though. And I'm going to talk about it from the past perspective. They needed to make the move. We all knew that. We all know they needed to make this move. And the Eagles capitalized off the desperation. That doesn't mean that they're not going to get a good player, because they are. I mean, you think about it from the past perspective. Howie Roseman spent the whole entire offseason preparing for life without A.J. Brown. That's how impactful A.J. Brown is.
I agree.
The whole offseason was, how do we prepare for life outside A.J. Brown? Okay, how about we trade for the Devontae Wicks, or however you pronounce his first name, but I know Wicks, right? John Wick. All right, Devontae Wicks. Okay, Davion Wicks, whatever. All right, okay. Elijah Moore will sign him. Oh, okay. Marquise Brown will sign him. Oh, okay, how about we draft wide receiver Mekhi Lemon? Mm-hmm. All those players to prepare and overcome the loss of AJ Brown. That's a lot of players. AJ Brown transformed the team. You got
a rookie and two players that are not starting caliber players at this point, though. Hollywood Brown has done nothing, and Wentz is average. So I don't know how you improved your receiver room by trading AJ Brown, though.
They didn't improve their receiver room.
That's the ultimate thing we have to decide here, because you have to decide on your quarterback, Leel. You have to decide on your quarterback.
But the thing is, the Eagles know that they was not going to have a better receiving core without AJ Brown to begin with. When you trade a guy like AJ Brown, you're not going to get better. The question is, will you get the proper compensation for AJ Brown? And they did, because the reality is, we knew this was going to happen. You're not bringing back AJ Brown with all that noise. When you have cancer, you get rid of the cancer. Point blank period. Whether you're talking about the human anatomy or whether you're talking about the locker room, you got to get rid of the cancer.
I don't hurt my team at the expense of anything. When Dallas had T.O. in his prime, and Jerry Jones cut T.O. to appease Tony Romo, right? That was the beginning of the end for me when it went towards Jerry Jones being a great general manager for the Cowboys, because he let his feelings get personal, because Tony Romo was like a son to him, instead of looking at what he should have been looking at, was building and keeping a quality team. Don't get caught up in making mistakes like that, Leel. And that's what they're doing with A.J. Brown. We're going to see. We're going to see.
If Jalen Hurts,
let me finish this. We're going to see at the end of this year if Jalen Hurts is on his way out for the Philadelphia Eagles. And if he is, it'd be large part because A.J. Brown is not there anymore.
Well, guess what? Jalen Hurts has a golden opportunity to prove that he can silence the doubters. Because I'm one of those critics. I don't believe he's an elite quarterback, but we'll find out with this trade. Now, to answer the question, because I didn't answer it yet, I do believe the Eagles traded away the division. All that to say they did, because again, I'm not saying they lost or won because they traded A.J. Brown. I'm saying they won because they got the proper compensation for the inevitable trading of A.J. Brown. They had time to prepare, and they used the whole offseason to prepare for life without A.J. Brown. So they added depth. No matter how we think about those wide receivers, they added depth to prepare for life without A.J., and they got compensation for A.J., but that doesn't mean it makes them better.
I agree.
They did trade away the division. I do believe. Now, I'm not saying they can't win it, and if they won it, I won't be surprised, but I think the Cowboys and the Giants has as equal as a shot than the Eagles do, which means they took a step back.
They took a step back. They
did. Now, the question is, the $1 million question is, how much step forward did the Giants take, though? That's the $1 million question. Because, yeah, they could take a step back, but how much forward did the Giants take a step? Because, obviously, they hired John Harbaugh. They added some wide receiver depth of their own. They spent money on defense in the draft. I like their draft picks. How much of a leap did they take? Because, to me, let's not forget, if you're the Eagles, the reason why your team was able to be in this spot in the East, winning back-to-back, was because of that A.J. Brown trade to begin with.
I agree with that.
Are we going to forget about Jalen Hurts before AJ Brown and how he threw 4 interceptions in the wild card game against the Buccaneers? We forgot.
I
We
agree with
forgot
that.
about that.
No, I
And
agree.
then they traded for
I agree
AJ
totally.
Brown, and then he took off.
I agree totally. I agree totally. That's why I'm saying I'm not trading a receiver that's 30 or under and in the prime of his career just because of the perception that we didn't get along. The Eagles took a step back last year also because their offensive line was beat up. That's why Saquon didn't get the yardage that he did. There's a lot of things that go into why a team, especially an offense, doesn't gel the way they did the previous year. So I think too much was put on about this A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, and all that. I think that was a lot of foolishness. The man is talented. He needs to still be on the Eagles. I'm glad he's gone, though.
My last point, and this is my last point, Lee, if you want to bring us home, you can. When you have elite wide receivers or an elite wide receiver, period, your running game automatically becomes better because you can't stack the box. Think about this. The Cowboys did the opposite of what the Eagles did. They traded for George Pickens last year, and they added another dynamic wide receiver to go along CeeDee Lamb. And guess what? You take a guy like Javonte Williams, who couldn't even beat out Jaleel McLaughlin in Denver. All of a sudden, he's a 1,000-yard rusher. Why? Because you can't stack the box. It makes the running game better. When they had A.J. Brown, guess what? Saquon Barkley been in the league for like 5 years prior to being a Philadelphia Eagle. What happened? Yeah, sure, flashes of greatness, but never could piece it together. All of a sudden, he has the best running back season of all time, arguably, with A.J. Brown. It impacts your team. It impacts the overall offense. And the Eagles are going to lose that dynamic weapon, that guy with the size and the ball skills to be able to, make contested catches and be dominant on the football field and allow everything else to open up. They lose that. So now Jalen Hurts is going to have to be an elite quarterback, and we still don't know if he is. Look, winning is a team stat. Sure, yeah, you have to be a good quarterback to win a championship, I do believe. But then again, Nick Foles won a championship. Trent Dilfer won a championship. I mean, some of these quarterbacks that you don't really put in high regards, some of them are not even Hall of Famers. Not every quarterback who wins a championship is a Hall of Famer. Let's not forget about that. So winning championships is a team stat. We're going to find out more directly who Jalen Hurts is.
I agree. No, you said it well. They have a new offense that they're putting in, new coordinator. We're going to see. And like I said, the Philly fans are ready to turn on Jalen Hurts anyway. So that's if the Eagles start slow, you're going to hear a lot out of Philly, and that's going to be a shame because I think Jalen Hurts, anybody that's been to the Super Bowl 2 out of the last 5 years, come on, man, that's ridiculous. So we'll see. Now, to Jalen Hurts' credit, look, go back to the dual threat Jalen Hurts, right? Got to do more of that. Make yourself to impact the game. And so we didn't see that last year, and we need to see that this year. But Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl winning quarterback, 2-time Super Bowl playing quarterback. But the Eagles are ready to do some things, Leel.
And we are ready to get prepared for the game tonight, game 2. We're going to make it do what it do. All right, that wraps up another episode of the Real Leel Show with my guy Lee and your boy Real Leel. And make sure you like and subscribe to the channel for more content. Thanks to everybody who commented under the video and participated in this show. And we're going to be back for another one. Lee, if you want, feel free to plug yourself in.
After the Buzzer Show, every Sunday, 6:30 p.m., guys, check us out. Love being on the show, guys. This media, this new space, you need people that really talk the game from a fan's perspective and really give you real commentary, not the sort of scripted commentary. I think that's what you get from me and the Real Leel. So I always love being on the show.
Definitely. Salute Hawks, ATL. Go Knicks. That's what I'm going to say. Not Bo Knicks. Go Knicks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we out. Peace.
Sports, politics, conspiracy theories. We are here to give you our unique perspectives on things happening in the world. It's the one and only, The Real Leel on The Real Leel Show.